Hey there, movie fans. Time for a new installment of Rank and File. I am your host, Scott Movie Mantz. So in the last episode of Rank and File, to pay tribute to the late, great Sean Connery, I ranked all of the Sean Connery James Bond movies. So of course I got to keep that momentum going by doing a Rank and File on the Roger Moore James Bond movies. These are the movies that I grew up with. I saw all of these movies in theaters, so I will always have a very soft spot in my heart for Roger Moore as James Bond. I love him as much as Sean Connery, but for very, very different reasons, as we will get into in this rank and file. So let's get right to it with number 7 on the list, which is A View to a Kill, directed by John Glenn, released May 24th, 1985. Budget is $30 million. Domestic gross is $50 million. Worldwide gross is $152 million. This is Roger Moore's last movie as James Bond, and not a moment too soon. He was 57 years old when he made this movie. He was getting a little too long in the tooth. He was just too old for the role. It was time to hang up the tux. The movie just doesn't have the energy. It doesn't have the spark. It feels tired. It feels uninspired. And dare I say it, it commits the worst of all sins for a James Bond movie. It's just boring. Now, I did love seeing Roger Moore with Patrick Macnee, who is best known for playing a spy on the British TV series The Avengers. So it was great to actually see them together. And of course, the theme song, A View to a Kill by Duran Duran, is one of the best theme songs. Moving up to number 6 on the list is The Man with the Golden Gun, directed by Guy Hamilton. Release date, December 18th, 1974. Budget is $7 million. Domestic gross is $21 million. Worldwide gross is $98 million. This is the lowest grossing James Bond movie starring Roger Moore, both domestically and worldwide. This movie feels like it was rushed into production to keep the momentum going with the newly crowned James Bond, Roger Moore, and it has its merits. It's polished, it's entertaining. Roger Moore seems to be easing into his role a little better as James Bond. The movie itself it's not great, but it's good enough. I think overall the story wasn't that interesting, but what was interesting was the villain, Scaramanga, played by the legend Christopher Lee. He is the best thing about this movie, and he makes The Man with the Golden Gun feel better than it actually is. Moving up to number 5 on the list is Octopussy, directed by John Glenn. Release date June 6, 1983. Budget is $27.5 million. Domestic gross is $68 million. Worldwide gross $185.5 million. Octopussy, it's solid. It's fun. It's entertaining. The action scenes, the stunt pieces are very exciting. The pre-credits action sequence with the plane, and of course, the ending of the film with the plane. There's a lot to love about Octopussy. I'm not so sure I like the villain in the film. I think the villain is a little weak. And there are some cheesy moments, like when James Bond swings from the vines doing the Tarzan call. That was a little cheesy and pushed Octopussy a little too close to Moonraker campiness. But overall, Octopussy holds up and it's a good film. Moving up to number 4, speaking of which, is Moonraker, directed by Lewis Gilbert. Release date June 29th, 1979. Budget is $34 million. Domestic gross, $70 million. Worldwide gross, $210 million. An Oscar nominee, no surprise here, for visual effects. This is the most expensive of the Roger Moore James Bond movies. It is also the highest grossing worldwide of the Roger Moore James Bond movies. Now, For Your Eyes Only was supposed to be the next film after 1977's The Spy Who Loved Me. But then Star Wars came along and changed everything. So Moonraker was put in its place, became the next film, James Bond in space. You gotta love the movie for its scope and its grand scale, the adventure and the excitement, or maybe you hate Moonraker because of the cheesy, campy, tongue-in-cheek humor in which Bond started to become a parody of himself and didn't feel dangerous anymore. I love Moonraker. I loved it when I was 11 years old, seeing it in theaters. I still love it now. I think it holds up. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's not the quintessential Roger Moore James Bond movie, but it has its merits. The visual effects, of course. Drax is a great mustache twirling villain. I mean, the movie's basically has the same plot as The Spy Who Loved Me, but in space. Moonraker holds up. It's good. I love it. And John Barry's score is terrific. Moving up to number 3 on the list is Live and Let Die. Directed by Guy Hamilton. Release date June 27, 1973. Budget is $7 million. Domestic gross, $35 million. Worldwide gross is $162 million. Oscar nominee for Best Song, Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney and Wings. This is Roger Moore's first Bond movie, and he gets off to a very, very good start. Right away, Roger Moore made Bond his own. Where Sean Connery was rough, Roger Moore was smooth. He was more playful, he had more humor, he was suave and debonair, very charming, lighter on his feet. As for the movie itself, there's no other Bond movie like it. You have the voodoo element. It's about drug smuggling, drug dealing, heroin. Yaphet Kotto was a great villain, a different kind of Bond villain. Gotta love the speedboat chase. The score by George Martin is terrific. George Martin, who produced all the Beatles songs. Where Connery's movies were trendsetters in the early 60s, Roger Moore's Bond movies were trend followers, and Live and Let Die is a great example of that because it feels like it's sort of capitalizing on the blaxploitation movies of the early 70s. Live and Let Die, still a great movie and the perfect way to kick off the Roger Moore era of James Bond. Now we get to number 1 and number 2. Just like the problem I had with the Sean Connery James Bond movies, I turned to social media to get some help and some guidance what to go with for the number 1 Roger Moore James Bond movie. And I actually listed 3 choices here. Live and Let Die, The Spy Who Loved Me, and For Your Eyes Only. Live and Let Die got a very big push with 37%. The Spy Who Loved Me won this poll with 45%, and For Your Eyes Only came in third with 18%. So what do I go with? Do I go with the popular opinion, or do I go with the movie that I truly think is Roger Moore's very best movie as James Bond? So that brings us to number 2 on this list, which is The Spy Who Loved Me. Directed by Lewis Gilbert. Release date July 13th, 1977. Budget $13.5 million. Domestic gross is $47 million. Worldwide gross $185 million. 3 Oscar nominations for art and set direction, best score Marvin Hamlish, and best song Nobody Does It Better. Spy Who Loved Me is the first James Bond movie I saw in theaters, and I will always love it for that reason. The Spy Who Loved Me is also the Roger Moore era hitting its stride. It's the culmination of everything great about the Roger Moore era. Everything really came together. The production design, the scope, the spectacle, the cool gadgets, the villain, the humor, the action. It's slick. It's polished, it's big, it's a big, shiny James Bond movie, and Moore holds it all together in a very, very great way. You had a good villain played by Kurt Jurgens. Barbara Bach was a great Bond woman and as Agent Triple X. Introducing Jaws, I was afraid of him when I was a kid. One of the very best theme songs with Nobody Does It Better, performed by Carly Simon. This movie came out in 1977, the same year as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the same year as Star Wars. And The Spy Who Loved Me holds its own with those groundbreaking films quite nicely. That brings me to number 1 on my list, which is For Your Eyes Only. Directed by John Glenn, release date June 24th, 1981. Budget is $28 million. Domestic gross is $55 million. Worldwide gross is $195 million. Oscar nominee, Best Song For Your Eyes Only, performed by Sheena Easton. Now, Where the Spy Who Loved Me is the best signature Bond movie because of the formula. For Your Eyes Only is the better film overall because it features Roger Moore's best performance as Bond. The story is stronger. It's grounded and feels like it's scaled back to basics after the over-the-top campiness and also the production design of Moonraker. This movie feels like the closest that Roger Moore ever got to the greatness of Sean Connery, particularly in From Russia with Love. And ironically, For Your Eyes Only also features the same sort of plot device about a decoder, just like From Russia with Love. A great score by Bill Conti. I would have preferred John Barry, but Bill Conti did do a good job. The action scenes, and there's a lot of them, are great. It's grittier, it's hands-on, it's the most dangerous that we've seen Roger Moore as James Bond. And I feel like For Your Eyes Only has aged better than any other James Bond movie. So that is why For Your Eyes Only is my number one Roger Moore James Bond. How would you rank Roger Moore's James Bond movies? Comment below. Please make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you let me know what other film series, what other director you would like to see me rank on Rank and File. Please share this with movie lovers, especially James Bond fans. And please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and spread the word. Till the next episode of Rank and File, here's looking at you, kid.